we go. Okay, guys, I am super excited to welcome our next guest to Let's Get Freaky. We are heading down under. Oh, I am very excited for this one. We have got Matt on the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, mate, how you going?
I feel like I should say good
Very,
day.
yeah, g'day, mate.
Yes. How are you, man?
Yeah, good, mate, good.
I'm very,
Yeah,
I'm very excited to have you on the show.
thanks. It's a pleasure, mate. The pleasure's all mine.
We
So,
are
yeah,
we are Instagram friends, and I know that you're a paranormal investigator, and you're a historical researcher as well, and you've had a lot of
yes,
cool experiences. So I'm excited to hear. I'd love to start at the start where it all started for you.
yeah, mate. I sort of started as a kid, um, probably 13 years of age or around that mark. We moved into a farm sort of property, a few acres out of town. Built a little house, so it wasn't like an ancient old house or anything. So you know. But yeah, the first thing I had was something pulling the doona off me, the blankets off me in bed at night, and it got to the point where it was freaking me out, and I grabbed the doona and pulled it up over me and held it tight, and then the thing actually pulled away from me, like my arm was pulling, like it was legitimately someone there. So I'm like, shit, and I panicking as a kid, too scared to turn the light on, too scared to scream. But worked up the courage, turned the light on, there was nothing there. And that was the start of it, mate. I went, Jesus, this is not good. And I ran into my mum's room, Mum, Dad. They're just like, go back to bed. Nothing, thought nothing of it. But yeah, and it was just the start. But in saying that, I never had much else happen at that house, which was. So whether it's something to do, that's a question I've asked over the years as well, is whether hauntings are an individual or a place. Some you see that it's the building that's definitely haunted. Everyone goes there, has interactions. But then there are people, I believe, that are haunted. There is an attachment, whether it's ancestral or whatever. And but yeah, it sort of rolled on for years of little odd things, as a kid, and you sort of question it and put it to the back of your mind. I didn't hang on to much, just you think it's all in your head, and you watch too many scary movies if you've seen something, and it just got to the point, and eventually over the years I joined the army pretty young. So I joined at sort of 16, and or 16, 9 months. And from there that was when I had my next experience. I was actually with a bunch of mates, and we were heading up north to visit his family. We were on leave, and we're driving up the highway, and there was sort of every 10 k's or so there were these power stations with a light pole on them and nothing else. We were in the middle of nowhere, and as we're coming up to one of these light poles, I'm sitting in the back driver's side of the car, just looking out the window, talking intermittently with the lads. And I looked at this light post, and I had to take a double look because we were still a fair way away from it. But I thought, what's that? And as we're getting closer, I could see this little girl holding the pole and sort of swinging with her head back, looking at the car. So her hair's dangling down, and she was in this little white, like a linen type dress or something. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, what is she doing out here? Like it's the middle of nowhere, like dead set. There's nothing where this is. And yeah, we're getting closer, and I'm saying to the boys, slow down, slow down. And they're laughing, thinking I'm being stupid. Or I said, stop the car. Like we stopped the car, we'd gone past it. And I said, back up. I jumped out. We had a torch, like the old dolphin torches, the big old plastic dolphin torch. And I'm running around looking for anything, and there was absolutely nothing there. But this little girl she's like burnt into my memory. I remember everything about her. It was just so vivid, this little girl. And then, later research, and this stretch of roads, one of the most haunted stretches of roads in Australia because of the car accidents that have happened over the years. And it was murder dumping ground and things like that. So I don't know what the story is with the little girl, but it was definitely something, that yeah, it stuck with me ever since. And that was a real catalyst where I started sniffing into the unknown. I was like, this, you can't see that and not,
Yeah.
question something. There was someone there. Like, that was something. And then, with different postings, all these stories, because I was, well, I guess fortunate enough to be posted into places like old military colleges and things like that. And the hauntings were just ridiculous. Like I had mates coming to work telling me stories back then as a soldier, and he wouldn't tell many people. He'd tell people he trusted, and he knew I was into the paranormal. And he was telling me stories of this woman appearing on the end of the kid's bed every night. And he said, this chick, every night I get up at like 2 a.m. and there's a woman sitting on the end of the bed. And it was unbelievable. Like this, and apparently she was a girl who'd hung herself because she fell in love with the groundsman, and she was the daughter of an officer, the commanding officer. The Campbells was the family name. And so when they banished the dude, because they didn't want to be in with a commoner type thing, she hung herself off the balcony of what's Campbell House in the military college in Duntroon now. And every night they reckon she walks this same path they guessed that was how she used to walk to go visit a lover. So yeah, so
Interesting.
that was a really interesting one, mate. But yeah, a lot of stuff like that over the years, you know what I mean? And then as I've gone on, it's just evolved to the
Yeah.
point it is now, where I'm running around cemeteries in the middle of the night.
that that
Security looks at me like I'm some sort of fruitcake.
the little girl that you first saw when you was driving along,
Yeah,
was that a solid form, or was
yeah.
that?
She was a full body apparition, full color, blonde
Oh
hair,
wow.
everything. It's the most crazy thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Wow.
She was so vivid. It
Yeah.
was,
Did the
yeah.
other did the other guys in the car at the time see her as well? Or was it just you?
Nobody seen her. Nobody seen her except me. And
Wow.
that's, and over the years, my sister's also, she's psychic. She's had German soldiers screaming at her in the middle of the night in one house,
Wow, man.
um, which is weird for Australia, you know.
Yeah.
But she's had green orbs the size of basketballs floating through a hallway, all this sort of stuff. But she's very much, it scares her, so she's blocked it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's a generational thing. My old man was actually telling me a while back, and I had no idea, but we had a witch in the family, and she was
Okay.
she was burnt at the stake in Scotland. Um,
Interesting. Oh
yeah,
man.
back in, it would have been 1690s, maybe something like that. Um,
Wow.
yeah, Lady Eleanor. I won't say my last name, but
Yeah.
but it was, yeah, Lady Eleanor, and yeah, she was burnt at the stake. There was like a group, a bunch of them in Scotland at the time being burnt, and they were
Okay.
called like maybe the Prairie Witches or something like that. There was some funny name that they gave them. So, and that's why now I wonder if, you know, is that some sort of, was she just a woman that was accused, or was she legitimately doing something? It's something that comes down through the family. Because yeah, if I go to a haunted place, if someone says, "Look, this place is haunted," for some, it's like I'm an amplifier. When I go into these places, they just turn on for me. And even my wife said it. She's like, I don't want to go with you because I know it's going to get weird. It's like, it's going to get
Interesting,
crazy.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I've offered to different paranormal groups even to say, hey, just to see if it's legit, why don't you bring me along, put me in the situation and see? And no one's taken me up. And I think,
Oh
wow,
man.
that's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, I've even said to Yanks, like, you guys bring me out to America and put me in every one of them solo. and
Yeah.
watch what happens. I'll do it. You just can film me, like, but yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Interesting, man. Well, you're welcome here, sir. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'd love
yeah.
to
Well,
go
that's
paranormal
I'm
hunting
just
with you.
I'm gonna plan something, mate. Where yeah, I think moving forward is doing something in the UK and also in the States.
Awesome. Oh, that'd be cool,
But
man.
yeah, I just think it's it's everyone's got to be doing everything. Like we need answers from everywhere, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
So would
and
would you
especially,
say? Sorry,
sorry, mate. Yeah.
I was going to say, would you say you're a sensitive?
Uh, I don't. It's hard to describe what I feel like. I know when there's something about to happen because I get like a tingling up the back of my top half of my legs into my bum, and then my lower back just starts humming. It's like a hum, like an electricity. And
Interesting.
I because I do I'm solo investigator, so it's only very rarely my wife might come along if we're on a holiday or something like that, and I say, "Oh, I've got to go do this." She'll go come for a wander,
Yeah.
but but I'll say that to her if she's there. I'll say, "Oh, I'm getting that feeling," and sure enough, as soon as I say that, shit starts spitting out on the spirit talker, or it starts
Interesting.
happening, and
Yeah.
it correlates. And for years I've done, like, I'm 50. I'm not a kid. Like, I've been doing this for a lot of years, and so I know what works. And especially since I gave up, I was after the military. I was on antidepressants and opioids for PTSD and chronic pain and all these different things. I gave them all up a few years ago and just got into the gym and everything. And since then, it's like I've opened up a connection. It's like crazy. It's
Yeah.
just intensified even more because of the clarity, and I've got good gut health and my mind's clear. And it just seems to be, I don't drink. I don't, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
so I find the connection is, that's the truth, I think. And that's where I'm a bit skeptical with psychics and things like that when they come out and, you know, you see on their pages that they're partying and drinking and doing all these different things. It just doesn't add up to me with the spiritual side of things
Yeah.
and how your mind, that's the link. And when that's clear, the link's clear. So,
Interesting.
but yeah,
Interesting.
I don't want to judge anyone. You know what I mean? Like,
No, no,
I'm
but
not judging anyone. Just
it's an
more
interesting, it's
what
an
I've
interesting
found over the
theory.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think possibly
And I
we're
do
sorry?
I do a lot of conscious connection. It's what I call conscious connections because I meditate so much. It's before I go into areas, I'll actually meditate on that area and tell that area I'm coming to it. And if anyone's there, if they wish to communicate and things like that. And I find that's another part of it that I think is helping.
Yeah.
Um, because I've had stuff happen at home before I go there. And then when I go there, it correlates. Like,
Interesting.
I done that, and then I had the word killer come up on Spirit Talker app before I was at the location 3 times. Kept coming up, and I'm thinking, this is weird. It's a bit creepy, like a killer or what's going on. And then when I got to the cemetery I was going to, it told me I got, as soon as I stepped onto the true soil of the cemetery, it said, keep walking forward. And I kept walking forward, and no shit, mate, I came to a grave and it was the killers.
Wow.
And it was just, I've had things like, and I only had one the other day. I shared it, a video on TikTok, I think it was. And then uh, old mate at Spotted Ghost, who's the creator of Spirit Talker app, he also shared and done a video on it, where I was at a cemetery. I was on a road trip, and I found a little country cemetery, and I got the name Florence, and I was standing under cover just in a bit of shade when it happened, and I thought, okay, I'll try and find them. Lo and behold, they were like 2 meters from me. There was a couple, the Florences, and the next
Wow.
thing, as soon as I got to the grave, it said, share my story. Um, Kept going through all this stuff. I'm at peace. blah blah blah. It was incredible, mate. Like there, and I've had so many of those correlations where they're bang on. Like you cannot fault them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's almost emotional at times because you're having a conversation with someone and
yeah,
you truly know you are, you know. And I've had many people, including family members, say, "You're fucking crazy. What are you talking about? You're having conversations." But you know in your heart, you know what I mean? Like
yeah, for
you
sure.
truly know in your heart what's going on.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
yeah,
When
it's mind blowing.
when you're getting these when you're having these conversations and you're getting these words come through, do you
Mm,
get do you feel the spirits there as well?
yes, if it's I've had them, you know, like I can feel them touching me, and I'll get, "Can you feel me?" and stuff like
Wow.
that. You know, like
Wow.
legit, like
Yeah.
it correlates. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
still learning. Like I say, I'm only new to social media and all that. I've only been on since March.
Oh
Um,
wow.
but I'm so, but yeah, as I get better with my filming and stuff like that, like
Yeah, for
and
sure,
being
man.
solo, it's hard because I'd struggle to get angles and things like that. But eventually, I'll work it out, and I want to show people like it's yeah. And I try to do a lot of unedited videos. I don't want to edit. I like to just show it raw for what it is, and that way people can see shit that all added up. Like that was a
Yeah.
conversation, you know, rather
Yeah.
than just take little snippets. So it, oh, that looks cool, you know. But I'd rather it show the, you know, the balls
Yeah,
and
for
all, so to
sure.
speak. So,
Yeah. I find it
but
interesting because I know a few guys that go investigating on their own, and
yeah,
you are very brave. That's for sure, man. Is how you go into these situations alone? It's that's for me. That's difficult, you know. So fair play to you,
yeah,
man.
yeah. No, it's sometimes you know the thing is the biggest threat isn't the ghosts or the it's the humans, mate. You know, like going into a building not knowing what's in there, especially in Australia. You've got no gun laws. We don't have you can't carry a pistol like you see the guys in Mine Seed or something like that. They're always packing heat, and I'd have no hesitation, you know, going into a place if that was the case. But yeah, over here, mate, like it's there. That's the worry is the actual the people.
Yeah,
Unless you're chasing yowies and things, then the game changes again, you know.
yeah, man.
But
I'm gonna get into the hours with you in a bit because I'm
yeah, yeah,
fascinated. I'm fascinated by that too. So what
yeah.
part of you are in? I've forgotten what part of Australia you're in. You are in.
Queensland, Queensland, mate.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah.
So is that
So
quite a built up area that you're in, or are you sort of in the
I'm sort
countryside?
of. It's sort of like a regional coastal town, but with where I am, I've got a really good spread of these little old towns that were like mining and timber cutting towns, like original towns from back in the day. So they got a lot of history. There's a lot of locations, things like that. So, and then on the
Interesting.
other, like we are saying with the Yowies, we're in where I live is actually one of the hottest spots in Australia.
Oh
For,
wow,
for yeah, so like it's almost some of the locations I've got are you'll get weekly sightings. You know what I mean? Like
wow, man.
it's pretty crazy, and it's one stretch of road.
Really?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's in a corridor, and they have to cross this road, so they get seen constantly crossing this bit of road,
Wow, man.
or with him. So, but yeah,
Interesting. For
yeah.
anyone listening that doesn't know what a Yowie is, I'm sure you do, but it's the Australian name for Bigfoot, Sasquatch. Do you
Yep.
know why? Do you know why you guys call it the Yowie, or is that does that
It
go
was
back?
it's one of those things that was closely related back in the day to a word that the indigenous were using, and and then the Aussies, the white people just grabbed it and went with, it started as I think as a Yahoo,
Okay,
and it was some sort of trying to relate it to the call it was making or something like that, and then it
interesting.
sort of yeah. So yeah, it's but there's there's different indigenous terms like Duliga. Um, then we've got little smaller ones that are 4 foot tall. They call them the Jinjati, and they're more of a like a trickster. You know, the indigenous said like they're the sort that would pull your hair at night when you're laying in bed and things like that. They were more and try and lure
Interesting.
little kids away from the camp when that back in the day. But yeah, so the Duliga was like the big fella, and then the Jinjati was the little fella. And
Okay.
yeah, but
And do you think
yeah,
that
well,
they're a separate species, or do you think they're the same? They're part of the same family, or do you think they're a separate
I
cryptid?
don't know. I don't know, mate. Yeah, it's still out on that one, but
Interesting.
it's like it's like talking about interdimensionals and all of that sort of stuff. It's so hard, but the evidence keeps coming through more and more where we're seeing these weird cloaking type videos and things that are just not adding up. So yeah, it sort of
Interesting.
leads me to start questioning, and then also wherever we have paranormal UFO, they all seem to turn up in the same area.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
the Yowie, the UFOs, paranormal stuff. It all seems to correlate together. So there's what that connection is, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been spending a lot of time trying to work it out, but I'll get
Yes.
there eventually.
Yeah,
I
for
think I
sure,
think
man.
it'll reveal itself. I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's like anything. Eventually, the truth can't be hidden forever. And eventually, it's. I think it was Confucius that said there's three things that can't be hidden, and it was the sun, the moon, and the truth.
Yeah,
And I think eventually that the truth will just set itself free, and we'll see it for what it is.
for sure, man. We're ready. We're ready, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's it.
It's interesting because there are areas all around the world, like we've got it in the UK, the US, Australia, everywhere, where there is areas of high strangeness where, for whatever reason, you get pockets of areas that are full of activity.
Yeah,
Is,
yeah.
is
And
there
it's
portals
it's
there?
unbelievable. Like
Yeah.
whether it's the ley lines, whether it's
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I don't know. But there's definitely certain locations that just fire, like you get
Yeah.
pretty much guaranteed if you go out there, something will happen,
Yeah.
you know. It's the same with paranormal, it's there's certain locations where everywhere else you go, nothing's nasty, but then you go there and there's red orbs and there's nothing but hate and horrible stuff spitting out on the spirit talker. So it's what I mean. It's all very there's yeah, and I don't like I'm like everyone else. I'm not a big demon person, but I think what it is I don't know. I'm starting to wonder if there's a correlation between the UFOs, the demons, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, for
the
sure. Yeah.
spirits are a different entity altogether.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
So, but yeah, we just got to keep searching, and eventually it'll all find it. Someone will.
Yeah, for sure. That's
But
we're ready, as I said.
yeah, yeah. Oh, mate,
We seem to be getting closer.
it's incredible when you look. Like I think back to when I was a little boy. I was born in the '70s, early '70s, and UFOs. It was all, you're an idiot if you think the UFO is real, and yes, you're an idiot if there's a ghost is real. And now all of a sudden, we got, oh yeah, no, UFOs are real. It's like,
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
government starting to say it. It
yeah,
just,
man.
and then when they do that, I start, because I'm such a doubter now, because we've been lied to over history so much that when they say, oh yeah, they're real, I start going, are they?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I've seen UFOs or things in the sky that I
Yeah,
can't explain, and I'm still going.
yeah,
I don't believe the government
yeah. It's
because
unreal, isn't it?
yeah, but yeah, I mean every especially the last few years, obviously, like there's a
Oh,
lot. There's a
that's it.
lot. I don't believe anything the government say, and I don't know if I
No,
ever will again.
no, no,
with
no.
with
They done it for me, mate. They
yeah,
done it for me.
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people feel like that. I feel
Yeah,
that that's more common than the mainstream media would like people to think it is. In my opinion, I think a lot of people
yeah,
are sort of. I mean, because there's still people now that obviously they're talking about UFOs and things like that. There's still people now that go, nah, there's no UFOs, you know, and there's still
yeah,
government. The government are saying it. I mean,
yeah,
so it's interesting times, man. What's it like in
yeah,
Australia with the UFO talk at the moment? Is it heightened? Is it
mate. You wouldn't know. You know what I mean? Like Aussies just are like, yeah, one could land in the front yard and they go, oh yeah, fucking hell, look at that. You know, it's unreal, mate.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
they just they don't bat an eyelid. You know,
It's interesting,
it's,
man.
I don't know. I think it would change if like if they were to look up and see stuff in the sky, they go, holy shit, you know, like it's real.
Yeah, yeah,
But, until that happens, I think you're right. I think that people are just so sick of bullshit that they won't listen anymore. Like you
yeah,
can say whatever you want to say, and like you only have to look at the media and world political stage at the moment. It's a joke. Like it's
yeah.
hilarious,
100%. Yeah, yeah,
you
for
know.
sure.
So
All around the
everyone's
world.
laughing at it, and then they're going to try and tell you something serious. You're going to go fuck off, you
Yeah,
know.
100%. Yeah, man.
It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's
It's
rubbish,
bizarre.
you know?
Yeah, it's so true, man. And it's everywhere. It's the whole world. That's the
And
thing.
like you said, they've blown it. They've blown it, mate. You know,
Yeah,
the only people I believe in now, I get on here and look at podcasts
yeah.
and listen to the people that they're suppressing and the people that they're
Yes.
not given any airtime. And
Yeah.
that's when you can make your own educated decision, you know?
100%, man. Yeah, for sure. When they start taking people off social media and stuff like that, you've got to ask yourself, because there's a
Yeah,
lot of misinformation spread everywhere. So why do they pick
absolutely.
certain people every now and again that sort of seem to get close to
It only
maybe
seems to be
something?
a one sided picking, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, for
So,
sure, man. Yeah,
which is odd. So,
yeah,
but anyway,
yeah, yeah.
not much we can do about it. We're
Nah.
just plebs.
When it comes to you, have you seen any UFOs or anything like that?
Yeah, 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 mate. Over the years, I've seen so many different things. Like majority were like, the super high intensity white balls of light at night in the sky that were bigger than a satellite or bigger than a star, and they just move crazy, like they're doing 90-degree turns and all sorts of things, And so it's I've seen that. I couldn't even count that how many of those I've seen, just laying out in the bush at night. And even here we live directly opposite the ocean. Here we're right on the ocean front. And my wife got up one morning at 3 a.m. She said, I don't know what it was. It was like I was being woken up. And she walked out to the window here and she looked out and she videoed it, I think. So you might have that video. I might have to look and try and find it. If I do, I'll send it to you.
Oh, thank you.
It's an orange orb or ball of light just zigzagging a million miles an hour all over the sky,
Wow,
just above the ocean, going nuts. And
interesting,
she said, I watched it for like 20 minutes. She said it was the strangest thing I've ever seen. So,
interesting,
and
man.
she had never seen anything, until then. So,
That is
yeah,
interesting. And at 3 o'clock in the morning as well. That's that golden time that things
yeah.
happen.
Oh,
High strangeness.
absolutely. Yeah. I've seen it, sitting out the back of my parents' place when I was a young fella. And it was the same thing, like that big white ball of light just coming across the sky real slow, but then it'd shoot up 90 degrees, and what was probably a kilometer in a
Yeah,
second,
yeah.
and then start cruising along flat again, like just crazy, crazy stuff, mate. So
It's
it's,
interesting.
yeah, but yeah, I haven't had anything as, you know what I mean, like close, like right in on,
Yeah.
but
Not yet.
I'd
Not
love
yet.
to. Yeah, not yet.
We was talking
But
before, and you said you go out, you can go out for a week,
yeah,
in the wilderness and stuff. I think when you put yourself in that situation, you're looking out to the stars. You're gonna see stuff, aren't you? There's stuff out there.
oh,
If you're looking,
definitely, mate.
you're gonna see stuff.
Especially that's the thing. I go out and being by yourself, you're not sitting around a fire talking. You're sitting there looking, you're listening. Like I pick up so much when I'm just sitting by the fire at night in the middle of nowhere that I'll, and most nights that's it. And then it's just a matter of taking a walk 30 meters from the fire, just walk into the bush, and then I'll just sit there for 20 minutes and just listen. And that's when you hear the footsteps, and that's when you hear
Yeah.
it's crazy. And that I don't care what anyone says. I don't know. Like we were saying, I think that where some people are more connected,
Yeah.
I think once you have, it seems to be the case. Like if you have an encounter with a ghost, you seem to have had an encounter with a UFO
Yeah, for sure. For
or a
sure.
Yowie or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah, 100%.
like where there's certain people that are privy to this information, or that
100%.
these beings or whatever they are allowing us to see them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's what it's coming down to. We need to realise that it's,
Yeah.
and especially it's like anything. If you don't believe in something, how are you supposed to see it? Like we're taught with meditation and things like that, we can manifest anything if we believe, and we can, we basically
100%.
what we're doing is opening ourselves up to the universe. So by interacting with these beings, that's what we're effectively doing. We're opening ourselves up and saying, here we are,
Yeah.
like I'm willing to be part of it,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's interesting because
and
it
I think,
does seem to be, sorry, it does,
no, you're right.
it does seem to be, as you said, you see a ghost. Normally, when you're a kid, you have that experience. Same for me as well.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
opens the door to all these things, because I think when you see something, from then on, that there's more, and that there's
yes,
possibilities of there being more. And that's why you see
absolutely.
stuff. That's what I think.
Yep, yeah, I agree, mate. I think that's the whole. Yeah, because most people that you talk to, if they say, "Have you ever seen an alien?" They go, "No." Nah. You ever seen a ghost? No, nah. It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But if you say to someone, "You've seen a ghost," and they say, "Yeah," you say, "Have you seen a UFO?" Oh, I think I might have. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, what
Yeah.
about have you had anything weird in the bush? One time I was out there and there was this weird thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, it just correlates, mate. And I've found over the years researching and talking to so many people that it's the case. It's not scientific evidence, as they
Yeah.
but it's there. Like, you do enough of it and you ask enough questions, you know, survey says.
Yeah, for sure.
uh,
It's true that
but
it's like maybe these things are on another frequency, and there's just certain people that can see every now and
that
again into
frequency.
that
Yeah,
frequency. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I had a strange one time I was here at home after, some weird stuff on a trip and on an investigation. And I came home and I walked into the bathroom, and there's another room off the bathroom. And for a split second, I seen a portal. It was the
Wow.
strangest. And when I come back, I looked again, there was nothing there. And it was this big, blacky brown, but it was all moving within itself, like a mechanical and rotating, and all these little fine blocks. And it was the craziest thing I've ever seen. For
Wow.
like maybe a tenth of a second. So bizarre. But it was I can see it now. It was there. It was
Yeah.
moving in that room, and I seen it, and I went into the, like, you sort of just what, and I come back and nothing's there,
Yeah.
like seeing a
Wow,
ghost, or
man.
you know what I mean? But it was a
Yeah.
portal. What I would describe as a portal, like it was moving in on itself. But
Interesting.
yeah, but almost it was like it was constructed of cubes, like millions of cubes, tiny cubes, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was so bizarre. Yeah, so
Interesting,
bizarre.
man.
Yeah.
Would you say it sort of
So
looked like a pixelated picture?
yeah, sort of pixelated. I've seen it somewhere in like a movie almost, like that same, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was just so bizarre. Like, and I sat for months on that, like
Yeah.
what the fuck was going on
So
there?
was
Like
that the
that,
only time you've seen that?
yeah, once. But
Interesting.
since then, I have had stuff in the house. And I wonder if they'd let themselves in, you know?
Yeah.
Like I hadn't opened it because I
Yeah.
won't do anything in the house. Nothing. I won't even turn on a Spirit Talker app. I won't turn on Ovulus. I won't turn on Spirit Box. I won't turn, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, for sure.
because
Yeah.
I know they're portals, mate, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. These things are portals. Like I'm even to the point where I'm starting to look at my mobile device and wonder, is that a scrying mirror?
Yeah.
Is the whole world looking into scrying mirrors and
Interesting,
releasing
mate.
demons? Or it, you know, it,
Yeah.
this is how my brain works. So
Yeah, no, that's cool,
I'm
man.
just always asking questions, and that's all these devices when they're switched off, look exactly like a scrying mirror. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. For sure, man.
exactly. And I'm like, that's weird. But I don't know. You know?
I saw something else the other day talking about the phones that apparently that I don't know if this is definitely true or not, but I watched a video on it, and apparently they are constantly taking a picture of your face.
Yeah,
If
I
you did
seen
you
it.
see that?
The iPhones. Yeah,
Yeah,
the new
yeah.
iPhones.
Every like 5 seconds or something.
Yeah, 5 seconds. If you go in, yeah, just like get in a infrared light, you'll see it
That's
flashing
it.
every five
Yeah,
seconds.
yeah. And I
Yeah,
found that very interesting. Like, what is that all
that's
about?
strange. What do you
That's
need
not
that
good.
for?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
doesn't sound
almost
good
like
to me.
it's almost like mapping.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, like
For
in the
sure, man.
military, you'd have planes going over doing that, and it was mapping ground, and it's like it's mapping you or your environment. You know.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It's very, very worrying to be honest.
yeah, yeah, I don't like the idea.
No, man. So that portal that appeared, was you getting no
Yeah,
activity in the house before that happened?
no, but after, yes,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
like even yeah, just strange, just strange little things. But like my my son, my youngest son, he complained that someone was peeking over his bed at night.
oh wow.
And I went, here we go. So
Yeah.
I thought, here we go. And then my wife said, I seen something. And I said, what did you see? And she said, I don't know what it was. It was something. I
Oh
said, righto.
wow.
So then I done a full cleanse of the house. And, it seemed to be all right. But then every now and again, it just something will turn up. Or like I had a apparition. I was sitting here early hours of the morning on my computer doing stuff, and I looked at the TV, and it's like a scrying me, black. And I look, and there's an apparition. I don't know if I put it on Instagram, but it's definitely on my TikTok. But there's a woman behind me. You can
Oh
see
wow.
this apparition in the house. I caught it on the reflection of the TV, and then when I spun around, there's nothing there. It was just,
Oh man.
it was unbelievable, mate. So,
Yeah. Did you get a good
but
look of what she looked like? Could you sort of make out
it was
features and
weird. You
stuff?
could see like she had like a coat or something on. You can see her feet and her legs and a coat, but then she's sort of bending over and looks like almost doesn't look real in the top end. Like the head and neck go too long and it looks a bit weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was fucking weird.
Interesting, man. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So
Do you obviously you're in this position a lot where you're having these experiences. Does
yeah,
it scare you when you're in these positions? Or are you sort of
not
used to it?
no. I wouldn't say no. Not scared. Like when we talk about the Yowie stuff, I tell you, like that gets my heart when I'm in the middle of nowhere. you know,
Yeah.
and it's potentially 1-on-1 or 2-on-1, and it's, I don't know how big it is and what it is, and that's when the heart rate, my heart rate jumps, and I'm like, you know, I wouldn't say scared, but I'm ready to
Yeah.
go. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
your adrenaline's just fucking pumping. But with the spirit, with the ghost side of things, not as much. But in saying that, certain things happen where they catch you unawares. You know, like it will startle you.
Yeah, for
Like, but
sure.
it won't. I've never had that feeling like I'm fucking leaving. You know, like if there's activity, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't understand that with people. Like that's what I don't understand with all this YouTube craze, with all these so-called paranormal investigators. And when shit gets really real, they run out of the place, and
Yeah.
that's it. It's over.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you doing? That's what you wanted. That's what you asked for. Get
Yeah,
back
for
in there.
sure. Yeah.
You
Get it
know?
on camera, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like, you know, I
Yeah.
don't care about your screams and your hollers and how scared you are. Like, and I think that's the problem though, is a lot of the young people, they enjoy that, the scare and it's really being made for entertainment purposes, not for
Yeah.
research purposes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
you've really got to pick who you follow. If you're if you like, I've got no problem. Don't get me wrong. I've got no problem with that side of it. Entertainment's entertainment. You know, like that's good. But be clear that you're an entertainer. You're not an investigator. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You
And
want
I
to
think
learn,
that's,
you want to learn more about the subject and
yeah,
see something that's genuine for sure.
yeah, you know,
Yeah, no, I'm with
it's,
you,
yeah.
man.
So it's, yeah, it's one of those things. It's just a little bit funny. And I understand that is like one of my sons, I've got older sons as well in their 20s. And one of my boys, he said to me, Dad, you know, you're just going to get tarred with the same brush as those dickheads on YouTube. You know, like that was his, because I've been doing it my whole life. He's like, don't go on social media, you know, because my wife's like, go on social media. They want to see it. And then he's like, don't, Dad, because they're just going. But then I said to him, mate, you realize that I'm at an age now and I've gone through all the stuff in my life that I don't give a fuck what people think.
Yeah,
I
man.
really don't, you know?
Yeah.
So I just do what I do and I show it, you know. To be honest, since I've started in March, I haven't even gotten that many negative comments anywhere because I'm not doing anything for anyone to pick at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not trying to make out something's there that isn't. I'm not trying to, stage anything. I'm not doing any of that. So anything I catch is what I catch, and you take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And when you've got the creator of these sorts of apps sharing your stuff, well, that's when I start realizing that, hey, well, I'm doing something right. You
Yeah,
know.
that is cool. Yeah.
So,
That is cool. You're doing a great job on the social media, man. And
thanks,
I'm
mate.
I'm like you as well. I'm at the point where I don't care what people think. I think you get to a point
Yeah.
where you're just like, I'm gonna say what I believe. I might not be
Hmm.
right, but I'm gonna say I'm gonna be true to myself, and that's it. And that's all you can do, I think,
Yeah.
with the paranormal,
That's it,
because
mate.
you're not gonna
Yeah.
please everyone,
No.
because not everyone agrees with everyone in the paranormal. As we was talking about before the show, not
Yeah.
everyone gets on, unfortunately, but you can just be
No.
true to
But it's
yourself and
it's
be
like
honest.
anything, mate. That's it's no different in fishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like if you've got YouTube fishermen, they're all going to hate each other because they're attracting more likes or they're attracting. That's all it's about. It's about
yeah,
likes, mate. You know what I mean? It's become a currency. You know.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So
I
where I
I try not to worry too much about that side of things. I mean,
yeah,
I
because
put stuff out. If people like it, great. If they don't, great. It's
yeah,
it's nothing. It's it, isn't it?
yeah. Well, that's it, mate. Like I'm just trying to get my head around things like TikTok lives and things like that. And I do one and it works, and then I do another one and it's shit. It's all just trial and error.
We're living and learning. That's it. That's all we can
Yeah,
do.
and but I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to like what I've found now. I've realised is it's no good trying to, like I tried to do one in a pub where it was a haunted room. This room's the most haunted room in the pub, but you can't go anywhere. You're just sitting there, and people just get bored with you sitting there asking questions. And where I get my likes is wandering cemeteries, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, up and
Yeah.
about. You've got to be moving, and people like that because they don't know what's coming around the next corner, or
Yeah.
so
They're
that
seeing
side of
it
it.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and what I'm going to do is I've said to people, I'm going to get a body cam and a couple of other things because there's times where I'll film. It was like the other week, I was up in the hills and I'd just been filming this massive tree break. And it was this huge tree break. And I'm like, shit, that's a really good tree break. Anyway, I put the camera down. I just turned off and kept walking because I was on a big hike up in the mountains. I just thought, oh, this is nice. As soon as I'd done that, something just went running through the bush 100 mile an hour that had been obviously hiding not far behind the tree break. By the time I'd turned around, all I seen was a flash of like a coppery brown and grey in the scrub. But it sounded like a motorbike, like a small car going through the bush, like it was moving bush.
Wow.
I was just like, shit, like I should have had a body cam or something that's running 24/7,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now I'm going to do that. Now I'm just going to attach a body cam. So things like that, even if you can catch the noise and you're still catching it, so people realize, shit, he's not just making shit up, or you know what I mean? Because I hate
Yeah.
saying to people, hey guys, you just missed this. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe what just happened.
Yeah. But
So
again, you're just putting out there your truth, and that's it,
yeah,
man. People accept it or they don't, but
yeah. But
that's
that's I just
awesome, though, man.
as I learn, I'm just trying to find better ways to just gather as much of it as I can so that there's more proof. So
Yeah.
I'm going to invest in a drone as well. I'm just different things that I think are going to add to the, one of those like a hyperbolic audio. They capture the audio out in the bush and things like that from miles away.
Okay.
Sort of amplifies it and stuff. So I wouldn't mind something like that as well. Just different tools. You sort of, it's easier when I'm by myself and not having to film like I have been for years. It makes it easier because all I'm doing is logging it in my memory. The noise or what I've seen. Or now I've got to learn to make sure the cameras are rolling. I've got different angles, and I've got this.
Yeah.
so you so not only you're an investigator, but now you're trying to become a cinematographer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're
Yeah,
doing a
I
great
give
job,
credit
man.
to some of these guys that on YouTube and that, mate, like how they pump out the stuff. It's amazing.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
must have teams of people because you couldn't do it by yourself. It'd
Yeah.
be impossible.
It is difficult. The editing side and watching
Yeah.
hours of film. It is.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've just been doing that this morning, just going through static cam film, and you're just like, fucking really?
Yeah.
You get sick of looking at yourself, You're like,
Yeah.
oh. uh,
Guys, when you get to that stage where you can pay someone to do that for you,
yeah.
that'd be
Oh,
nice.
mate. Well, I'm working with I'm actually a location scout as well. I work for National Entertainment, so they do production and stuff like that as well. So,
Oh,
so they're
sorry,
always
sir.
looking
Look,
for.
the
Oh,
sound's gone a little bit funny there. Sorry, man.
oh, you're right.
I missed that last bit. It just went a bit robotic there. I don't know what happened.
Yep.
Sorry, would you better say
No,
that
but
last bit again? Sorry, man.
yeah. So I also work with Shine International Entertainment. It's an Australian-based company. They're a production company, agents, all that sort of stuff. But they're always looking for locations for potential movies and things like that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
But
cool.
I'm trying to work with them and trying to get them in on a production. So I'm trying to put together some sort of. I'd love to put together a series in Australia similar to what you see coming out of the US. Um,
Yeah.
but what I'd like to do is have teams, a US, a UK, and an Australian team. And I've got these locations, and I'd run them through these locations, and sort of almost like a contest,
Yeah.
for country against country, and and sort of seeing what information they can gather out of each place. You know, like that first 28 type thing. You know, they were on Netflix. They were trying to work out what had happened in the places. You
Yeah.
do that, but also you're having a bit of a, you know, there's a bit of
Interesting.
competition and things like that. So,
Yeah,
and these
man.
guys like the idea of it. So I'm trying to get them to pitch to the likes of Netflix and things like that. But
Awesome.
we'll just see how it goes. You know, it's a
Yeah.
process. But
Awesome stuff, man.
yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
it's just, I thought it's, you know, it's a better way to get the exposure of what we do out there. You know what I mean? And you
yeah, for
can,
sure.
if it worked, it's a way to rotate teams and give them a profile. You know what I mean? So you sort of get each season a different team from a different country that gets
Yeah.
to come through and gets to sort of get exposure rather than just one team like Zach and the crew done for years. You know, it's
Yeah.
just them doing their thing. But it'd be nice to see fresh faces occasionally coming
Yeah,
through
man.
these. You know? So
Interesting
yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
I'd watch that, man, for sure. That sounds awesome.
yeah. But
Awesome
like I
stuff.
say, it's an idea at the moment. It's just we're trying to potentially turn it into something, and
Yeah.
yeah, go from there.
Cool stuff, man. I want to get into some of your Yowie encounters.
The
So
Yowie Encounters,
where did that start for you?
mate. It's always been something well, even as a soldier, well, I had one encounter that was odd one night where I was playing the enemy, so I was the only guy that should have been creeping around, and I'd done me creeping around for the night, and then I went to bed, and then when I came back the next day, the directional staff that were running the cadets come to me and he said, "Why the fuck were you running through our position at 4 in the morning like a fucking idiot?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "There was someone running through this fucking position at 4 in the morning for about 20 minutes, like tearing shit apart and carrying on. Like, he legit thought it was me." I said, "How the fuck could I run through? I can't even see. It was pitch black." I said, "How could I do it, mate?" You know? He's like, "Oh, something did, you know?" And straight away, because I've always been, and I said, maybe it was a Yowie. He's like, "Fuck off, it's a fucking Yowie, you fucking idiot." You know, like typical. You know, but that
What
was the
was it then?
mentality in
Yeah.
there,
What?
mate. And
Yeah.
I reckon it was. I reckon it was because that training area that we were in, um, years before, back in 90, I'm going to say 96, 97. No, it was before that, 91. I'll say 91. Anyway, there was a there was a serious encounter where several soldiers encountered it, and yeah, it was a full blown thing all night. This thing disrupted them, and these guys seen it. Some soldiers wouldn't go back out in the field after it without live rounds, all that sort of, you know. So it was there was a definite, and where that training camp is about an hour from where I'm sitting. So we're in that. It's part of the hotbed that I was telling you about before we started recording with and it's full on through here. Like it's constant. I talked to another guy he's a massive guy. He does, I think it's called Yowie Sightings Australia. He's more on Facebook and things like that. Um, but he's got a huge following, and yeah, he's out there all the time as well. He agrees. He said, "Mate, it's just non-stop. This
Wow.
place is crazy, you know." Like, so it's good to be sitting in a place that's got so much activity because you can get out there any given week and start chasing evidence. But
Interesting, man.
yeah, but for me, like I've had two encounters, like legit. Like I've had others that I couldn't say. You don't know, you know what I mean? But two that were without a doubt for me. I was the first one was me and my wife. We went hiking up into this forest, and it's an isolated place. Like I mean, isolated. and you're up in the mountains. There's an old gold mine up there, and we wanted to go up, and we were taking photos of the gold mine, and it's sort of barred off, so you don't go in. But we were standing there taking shots through, and my wife actually got a shot of something that looked like a face. It looked weird on camera, and we couldn't work out what it was. And that sort of kept us there. Like we kept going, what is that? Like, is there something in there? At first, we thought it was like a ghost or something, like that she'd captured. But the more I thought about it, she ended up deleting it because it freaked her out so much. And I said, don't delete it, But she deleted it. And I was like, no. But the more we think back on it, the more it had almost, it wasn't human. It was almost a monkey head, you know? And it was just odd.
Interesting.
But we're taking these photos, and where we were, there's trees, but it's a cleared area. There's nothing that could fall on you. Like there's no branches that could fall out of a tree or anything like that. And we're really intently photographing this place. And all of a sudden, this lump of wood hits my wife like it was thrown. And it was, I would say, 40 to 50 centimeters. And it was like, but it, like timber that's been on the ground and it's been damp in the forest and it's been a bit rotten and it sort of crumbles, but it's still solid. Just the surface is crumbly. It was like that. So it had been picked up off the ground and it was hurled at her and it hit her straight in the arm. It hit hard, and she was like, what the fuck? And I was like, hey, I'm running up on looking around like
Yeah.
I was going to beat the shit out of anyone that had thrown something at her, like, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah.
And I was blowing up, but there was nothing, mate. And we didn't even put two and two together at the time. You know what I mean? We were just like so weirded out. And I just said, fucking, let's get out of here. And then we got back to camp and we started realizing. And then my wife said, did you see the guy we walked past going up there? And I said, oh, I remember walking past. And she said, he was petrified. She said, his face, he looked like he'd seen a ghost. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And so she was like, thinking back over everything. And then we started going, shit, maybe it was a year, maybe he'd seen something. So, but that was the first incident. It was just crazy. Like it was one of them things that just, we didn't get to see anything, but it was, and
Yeah.
then we went back to investigate that place years later, and we couldn't even get to the mine. My wife kept having these feelings of dread and anxiety as we were walking through the forest, like it was telling her to fuck off, like she was crying, literally crying. And she said, I can't even walk. I can't go forward. And it was just crazy. I said, all right, we turned around, we went back. I went back up there the next day. I had feelings like those dread feelings in certain spots,
Yeah.
but I've learned to walk through them. You know what I mean? Like it's just something, when they're there. There's no doubt. And people, if you talk to anyone that's been doing this for a long time, they'll say the same thing. They're pumping you with like I don't know if it's like an electromagnetic pulse, but they do something, whether it's telepathically but you get that vibe. It's just get out of here, and you feel it in your gut, you feel it in your chest. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, then we lived on an acreage which was in the middle of the mountains, and it was a 45-minute drive from our gate to the nearest town. So you're in the middle, like literally the middle of the mountains, and the road was cut into the mountains. So it was like, super steep country. Like we had a kilometre of creek running through the property. It was like paradise. You, yeah. I can't. I've never found another place as good as it. Like it's so beautiful. And we lived there, but we had some strange things, but it started growing. Like this was the weirdest place we ever lived. It was, and it started with I was out. I had a workshop just outside. You'd come out the sliding doors of the house, walk up, and it was like an open air workshop just with a roof and a couple of walls, but then one side was completely open. It was like blue metal, gravel on the ground and me benches. And it's where I used to cut timber, all that sort of stuff, like just do odd jobs. I had my brush cutter hanging on the wall and all that sort of stuff, and then I had a shed as well where all other equipment was, but this was where I just like a workspace. And anyway, things started going missing. So I'd be working out there and my screwdriver that I had next to me that I was using would disappear. And I'd go, fuck, what? And I'd be looking around and I'd be like, this is weird. Now I got to the point where I'd say, just put it back. I'm fucking sick of this. Just put it back. And I'd walk inside and I'd come back and that screwdriver would be on the other side of the workshop sitting on a log. Right? No shit. Then it'd be a lighter. I'd go to light a durry. I was a smoker back then. I'd go to light a durry. The lighter's gone. I'd be like, put it back, And I'd be doing some stuff. Then I'd turn around. This lighter would be sitting on my chair or sitting on the lawnmower, or like nowhere where I would ever put it, And it kept building. These weird things just kept happening. And then one night I was out there and doing something, and it's just still. We're in a valley, It was a valley, and we didn't get a lot of wind in there. Like you'd hear it up above us in the ridge lines. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing some stuff, and I seen movement out of the corner of my eye, and I thought that's weird. I turn around, and my harness for the brush cutter. It's like a harness you put on and clip the brush cutter so it takes the ergonomic. Was swinging from one side to the other, touching the roof, and it wasn't slowing down. It was like someone was holding it, swinging it, touching it to the roof like this.
Wow!
I ran out of it. I ran. That's it. You talk about. It freaked me out. I just like what.
Man.
Like, what is going on? And I come back, like cautiously looking around the corner, and it was just sitting there. I was like, you're going to be kidding. I thought, this is weird. And I'll tell me, missus, and she's like, oh, sort of, like, but then I wasn't telling her too much either, because, you don't, but we had 4 kids there, like you don't want to freak people out. Anyway, so I'm sitting one night and I'm watching TV, and I was like, at that time, I was a real night owl. I was up all night. And it was about probably 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting there watching TV, and I hear, are you all right, mate? A bloke said to me from the kitchen. And I've just gone, fuck. You just freeze up for a second, like, because it echoed, like it was a voice in my house.
Wow!
Because our house echoed, like, you'd get that bit of echo, like bounce.
Yeah.
And I spun around, and there's just no one there, mate. No one, like no one. And it was just like, there you go, like full blown disembodied voice. And I was like, fuck, something's definitely going on here, Next thing, I was out in the workshop again, and I'm working. I felt like a fly or something was on my foot, and normally I just flick my foot, like to get it off. I look down, there's a venomous snake just rolling across my foot. No shit.
Oh man!
Yeah. And the thing was, I found out later that it was this Stevenson's banded snake or something they're called. They're a rare one in Australia, but it had killed a dude in the same location several years earlier during a flood.
Oh
The
man!
same. So I'm wondering, is this the dude trying to talk to me? Do you know what I mean? Like, it was so bizarre.
Yeah.
So it was, oh man, it was, but it snowballed. It just kept going on. And the next thing, what happened? Oh, the owl. I had outside of the work. I got goosebumps thinking about this. It's the workshop outside of the outside the workshop was a carport where I had my trailer and stuff under there. One night, I just had this weird feeling someone was watching me. I'm in the workshop again doing stuff. I couldn't shake it. You know, you just like, this is fucking weird. Something is. So I turn around and I walk out and I look up and there's the biggest owl I've ever seen. I don't even know what sort of owl it was. I've never seen in all my years in the bush. But this huge thing is just sitting on the roof of the carport and it's staring at me, like burning holes in me, just looking at me. I'm like, this is weird. And it was creeping me out. I was like getting that dread feeling off an owl. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
this. So I started going, get away, you know, trying to scare it away. I'm rah, rah, you know. I turned around and went back into the workshop. I turn around and it's on the ground and it's looking at me
Oh
like it's
man.
flown down onto the ground where I'd just been standing and it's looking at me, like staring at me. And I didn't move from my spot. I just went, Chah, you know, get away. And it starts walking at me. I'm just freaking out, mate. Like I said, I'm like, what is
Wow.
my, like, what reality am I in? You know, like this thing was no shit. It had to be over 2 foot tall. It was a big owl, a big owl. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Wow, man. Can you
And
remember
it
what
just,
color it was?
there's like a grey white, like a grey white color. And he
Yeah.
was massive, just massive. I don't know. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up again, what it was, but it'd be the biggest owl in Australia for sure, whatever breed it is.
Wow.
But this thing, yeah, and it just, but then it just looked at me, and like it freaked me out, and then it just turned around and flew off, and I thought, what was that? So after that, I'm just googling owls, spiritual messages, you know, like, and it was all this related to death, the afterlife, you know, it's all just the same old, you know. Here we go, something's
Yeah.
going on here. And but no shit. For 2 weeks after that, every time I'd walk out after dinner, because I was like, it was like religious. After dinner, I'd walk out, head out the back to the workshop, start doing my shit. You know, that fucking owl would be waiting above the doorway and take off as I walked out and just freak me out. Just
Oh,
freak me out. You know, like the wings, because of the huge wings, just woof, woof, woof. I just every time for like 2 weeks.
wow.
Then no shit. It was the strangest thing, mate. Just constant, you know? And then at the same time when that was happening, I just started getting these feelings when I was looking into the darkness, like something was looking back at me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as I'd be walking out to the workshop, it was just pitch black on our block, you know? And you'd just be like, I'd just get this feeling like there was someone looking back at me. It
Oh
was the
man.
weirdest feeling, you know? And it's so hard to describe this though without one day what I'll do is I'll find the photos and I'll build a story on like Instagram or something, sort of show people, because when you see the ground, you go, "Fuck, wow, this
Yeah.
is, you know,
Yeah, man.
it was a place."
Did
And
you did you find out what type of owl it was? Did you ever manage
I
to
did,
find
but
it?
I can't remember. It was like either the giant owl or a barking owl. It was one of something like that, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, and then that happened. Then walking out, and then I can't remember, but then I had this incident, and I was in the workshop, and I remember hearing something walking up my driveway. And to walk up my driveway, you have to walk down from the road, which is about 100 meters down, which is steep and slippy and gravelly. And then you have to go through a creek, which is about knee deep. So we had to drive it. We had to have a 4-wheel drive to get in and out of our block, you know. So, and in the middle of the night, like I said, it's black as a witch's tit. You can't see your hand in front of your face. So for someone to be walking up my fucking driveway at that time of the night just didn't make sense. Do you know what I mean? So I stop and I'm listening, But then what I realized, the more I listened, was the footsteps were rolling, because whoever it was or whatever it was moving slowly, but the footstep was rolling so slowly, it sounded too big. Like it took too long for each footstep. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it was moving slow, but there was too much foot.
Yeah.
And it sounded too heavy, because that section of my driveway is so compacted that it's like walking on concrete. It makes no noise. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
so compact. But this was making gravel noise. Whoever was walking on it, it was pressing in, you know?
Yeah.
And I
Interesting,
thought,
man.
and then all of a sudden, as I'm listening like that, the overwhelming dread hits me. This overwhelming, just this. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? It just hit me out of nowhere. And I felt like I was about to start crying. I was like, whew, what is going on? And then I thought, I've got to move. I've got to do something. So I just moved my feet in the gravel. And as soon as I'd done that, I heard the footfall just stop. It went mid fall. It just froze. And that made me realize whatever it is intelligent. It's heard me. It's frozen. And then I just panicked and I just yelled. I went roar, like a roar, because I was just in this weird feeling that had come over me. And what happened next, it, it broke left off the driveway and ran towards the creek. Now, what I'll find the photos to show you, but we had all of that area completely cleared to 7 foot high under the trees. You know what I mean? So when you walked under it, was this beautiful big canopy. It was such a pretty place. And there's this full-blown canopy above you as you're walking under these trees. This thing was running through that canopy. It was running through the fucking canopy. It sounded like it was busting through bush, and I'm like, the only bush is the canopy.
Wow.
It was busting
And
through
you
the
say
canopy, just
that was
rolling.
7 foot high?
Yeah, it was above your head, well above,
Yeah.
like
Wow.
7 foot, And this thing was running through that. So it had to be, I don't know, however big, bigger than 7 foot,
Wow.
you
Wow,
know?
man.
And it sounded like a bus going through there, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it freaked me out that much that I never looked for tracks. I never checked for broken branch. I didn't go near that creek. I didn't go near my workshop for weeks. It was unbelievable. The the fear that I felt that night.
Yeah.
And I think what it was doing was he was coming up. See, what I realized after was opposite our block was thousands of acres of bushland. And then on the other side of me was a 600-acre private block that no one lived on, but it was full of deer, full of everything. He was using our place just as it was like a corridor,
Yeah.
and I just happened to bump into him that night and, freaked him out.
Wow,
And
man.
it was full on. Like
Yeah.
that was the freakiest encounter with Yowies I've ever had. Like it was full blown. And then following that, we had weird stuff. Like one of my sons was down fishing at the creek one night or late afternoon, and he said he thought he didn't like a cross between a dog and a gorilla looking at him in the bush. He said, but I just got out of there. He said, it creeped me out. He said, I didn't know if it was like a pareidolia type, if I was, inventing it in my head the more I looked at it, or I said, oh no.
Wow.
But then after that, we had where the house was, you had to go across. There was a creek to cross to get to the house. Then there was another bridge we had built to cross this creek to get up and go over the mountain to the back section of the property where there was this waterhole that was just magnificent, like gin clear, full of like 50, 60 centimeter Australian bass. Like it was just paradise, like, but that's why old mate was there. I think it was full of food, fresh water, but after that incident, whenever we went over the back water hole, like if you were by yourself, something had come over you and you had to leave. Even my sons were like it, and they'd run home, they'd never walk. They said there was a certain section coming back over the hill that they'd run. They just felt like they had to run. They felt like something was going to get them. It
Yeah.
was so weird. And
Wow.
I had one night I was there fishing late, and in front of you there's this just steep embankment coming down off the road that is just all old dry grass, but it's too steep for anyone to walk down. It's like where they've cut the road out of the mountain, and you see the cars sort of go by occasionally up on the ridge line. And something was coming down that grass, and I could see it was daylight, but like dusk. But there was nothing there. But it was this huge something was moving through the grass, and I couldn't see it, and it was getting closer and closer and closer to me. And it got me so worked up that I ran home like a kid. It was crazy. And now, after like this was years and years and years ago, now I'd love to be there. You know what I mean? Because knowing what I know, the information I've gathered over the years, and
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, I have no doubt it was one of those places where you could have actually turned it into a habituation, like a gifting tree, and I probably could have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
So
yeah,
did
it was
you
crazy.
know about Yowies and things like that when you was there?
Yeah, but see, I was more into the paranormal side of things,
Yeah.
and the Yowie hadn't really come onto my radar. Like I was saying, when we were up there and my wife got hit by the stick, or a lump of wood, it was it wasn't on our radar. We were very paranormal orientated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was after that we started realizing, shit, this, and we started digging deeper, and because my old man had always been a Yowie believer, so I'd always believed in Yowies, because he used to say to me, he had this truck company, and you don't want the truck to break down near the bloody Pilliga, mate. You break down to the Pilliga, the bloody Yowies will get you. It's like
Yeah.
he was so, and we were always, and my family, we didn't come from England like a lot of the Australians coming across as convicts and stuff like that. We came out of the States after the Civil War.
Okay.
So when I grew up, my dad used to say, you got to go to bed or booger will get you. And it was like the boogeyman, but
Yeah.
he used to call it booger. And if you look into like where we came from, was like West Virginia, Kentucky, all down that area. And if you look down there, they all call them wood boogers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I only put two and two together, when I was older, and I went, that's why he called it booger, because his pop and his pop, they all would have said booger will get you because of the
Yeah.
Bigfoot. Because I often wondered, what was the boogeyman? You know, we all talk about the boogeyman, but what is the boogeyman?
Yeah.
And then when it was booger, I went, shit, that's what it is. It's the same stories that the Indigenous used to tell to their kids. Don't go out at night or booger will get you, you know?
Yeah. That's it. That's it.
So it was really weird when you sort of start piecing little things like that, like it's nothing like a major research breakthrough, but it's just like, wow,
Well, it's
it shows through
fascinating,
history.
man.
Yeah, you know, but
Did you find any footprints or anything like that when you was there?
not there. But we were never looking. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
wasn't something but after what happened there, we had one of the weirdest. I'll tell you this story. My wife, one night, I wanted to show, I don't know if it was something paranormal or something weird, but I wanted to show my wife something out in the workshop. And I was saying, hey, come and have a look at this. It would have been, say, 9 o'clock at night, you know? And I said, come out in the workshop. I want to show you something. She's like, yeah, righto. And she walks out the sliding door, and we're heading, and we get about halfway to the workshop, and a smoke alarm goes off. And we go, oh, shit. So we go back. As soon as we get to the sliding door, the smoke alarm stops, right? We go, oh, that's odd. Okay. We go to walk back to the workshop. The smoke alarm kicks in again. We go back, hit the door, it stops. We go, fucking, what's going on? That was odd, like twice in a row. Oh, well, we start walking to the workshop and the phone rings. So, no, the phone. Race back in. As we go through the door, the phone stops ringing. So we go out again, and the phone rings again. And it stops again. So we had 4 things that happen. Then we walk out and it doesn't do it. We're heading to the workshop and then we hear the kids yell. We go back inside and the kids said someone was scratching on the window.
Oh man.
How crazy is that?
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
They could hear something scratching on the window and they freaked out and yelled, "Ma," like
Yeah. Yeah.
before that we had this. It was like someone was saying, "Don't leave the kids alone." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
often
You're
wonder
being
whether it was
pulled
the dude
back.
that passed away, like whether he was the protecting force or I don't know. I don't know. But then
Interesting, man.
and then we had, um, oh, it must have been a few weeks later, my in-laws came to visit. And because we had so much, we had beautiful land, they just brought the caravan and they'd set up in the front paddock. And it was like a holiday for them, overlooking the lake, the creek, and they loved it. And my mother-in-law is a complete teetotaler. She might have one wine or something here and there, but she doesn't drink. She doesn't do anything. She's just straight straight arrow. And my wife come to me one night and she said, "I seen a shadow person in the house that's walked through the house." I went, "All right." I thought, yeah, could be just something else, like you sort of, but we'd had so much going on, that we almost got a bit desensitized, you know what I mean? But it was then Gail, my mother-in-law, came to my wife and said, "I've seen a shadow person." And Mum said, "What? I've seen one too," like, so they correlated. She said, "I was sitting on the couch and I watched it walk straight past the doorway." She said it looked like a man about 6 foot tall, just walked straight past. We were like, shit, righto, got to cleanse the house.
Yeah.
So, so we done a big cleanse, and as my wife's doing it, this flash of light shoots straight from our bedroom out through the hallway and out the kitchen window. And she's seen it. She watched it happen. She's just
Wow.
like, what? Like, yeah, it was crazy. So,
So do you think that
and
was
then,
something leaving the house, whatever it was that
yeah,
you?
yeah, because we didn't have as much activity after that moment as we'd been having. So something I think did. But then we had another one where one of my eldest son left for work and come back to another town we're from, and he was working. And my other son then was living upstairs. He was by himself. They were sharing the room, but now he was by himself. And it was early morning, and he's adamant that he heard his brother on the other side of the door saying, wake up, open the door." And he knew he wasn't there. And that's what it got. That was what concerned me, is when they start mimicking. Like, I've
Yes.
had different things where they mimic and it's not good. It's never good when they start mimicking. So that was a concern. We've done another cleanse, done all that, but it wasn't long after that that we actually left that place. So, and the funny thing is that property's sold regularly since. It just
Okay.
keeps changing hands. So I'm wondering
Yeah.
if it's still happening.
Yeah.
Um,
It probably
I
is,
wouldn't mind
man.
trying to get in touch with an owner and getting back there at some stage as well.
Yeah. 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 Because you
But yeah,
think a beautiful place like that, why would you want to leave? And if so many
yeah,
people are leaving, then there's a reason.
it's one of them places. It's almost too good to be true. I think, you know what I mean. Like, you get there and it's like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
this amazing valley. It's just, but there's something going on there. Definitely
Yeah.
something going on. And I think having the energy of the creek running through it, that water, it just really raises the vibration of the place.
Yeah.
And the whole creek's full of quartz. Like it's a quartz creek. So it's
Okay.
crystals, water. It's a high energy location.
Yeah. As
So
we were saying before, you get these places that are just, for whatever
yeah,
reason, they've got this energy there.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting
Yeah,
stuff, man.
it was unbelievable, mate. That was a crazy place, you know. And
Yeah.
all of that happened in the space of about 18 months.
Okay.
It just you know, like blew up and just went nuts. It was incredible. Incredible.
How long was you there for overall?
Overall about 2 years.
Okay.
Because we only rented the place. We were traveling Australia with the kids for about 3 years. So on the road, and that was unreal. We had a ball, but then it was got to the point where the kids had gotten to an age where they wanted to be back at school and socialise and interact. And we're like, yeah, cool. And we wanted to find somewhere that was different. And so we stopped at my parents' place. They had acreage, and we just parked up the van there for a bit. And we were looking around, and this thing just popped up, and it was too good to be true. You know, like we went out there, and as soon as we drove in, I went, I've got to live here. You know, like this is
Yeah.
it. Like, and but yeah, it's funny. We've talked about it and how it came up and everything, and the price was cheap, way cheaper than it should have been. It was just weird, you know,
Yeah.
like it was almost like the property called us there, you
Interesting,
know.
man. Yeah.
It was weird. It was fucking weird, mate. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool, cool,
yeah.
but
It's more to
weird.
the story about that. Yeah, yeah. But it was
Interesting,
really
man.
strange. Yeah, but
So when you could feel things looking at you through the forest, do you think that was Yowies? Or do you think
I
that was
don't know if it was
spirits or
Yowie or spirits. I don't know. But
yeah.
you could feel it, like you know when something's,
Yeah,
you
you
know,
get that
we've
vibe.
got that
Yeah.
sixth sense. It's
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it was just it was something was watching you, you know, and we had this drain around the house that was like a runoff for the creeks and that in case we had big rain, so the house block didn't flood and all that. And we always used to hear noise all night through that, like walking. And I used to think it was wild dogs. I used to put it down to wild dogs. But the thing was, if, if say a 9 foot yowie was walking through that gutter, he could walk around our entire house. We had no curtains on the house, mind you, and he could watch everything that was going on in that house. We were like a fishbowl for a yowie.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I mean?
that's something you hear a lot all over, like where Sasquatch is and Bigfoot. Like
Yeah,
people do say that they look in, they're interested in us as much as
yeah.
we're
It's a
interested in them.
curiosity.
Yeah.
And we had this, you know, we had this gutter thing there that it could walk through and not be seen. But then there was also a ridge line that ran up that he could just walk up, just sit up, and he could see straight through the kitchen into the lounge room. You know what I mean? If he moved
Yeah.
20 meters, he could see in the bedrooms. So it
Yeah.
was definitely, it was, oh, mate, it was one of them places, you know, because even my boys, they hated going in the kitchen at night because there was no, it was just like, it wasn't just one window. It
Yeah.
was like a fishbowl. There was about 10 windows in the kitchen, you know, that were like roof to floor that just showed the whole, so it all got natural light and everything like that. And they hated it because they said they just expected to look out the window and see something looking back at them every time,
Yeah.
you know?
So you all
You
got
just
that
had that
vibe.
feeling
Yeah.
constantly, constantly. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
man.
crazy. So,
Interesting stuff. And I mean, just by
yeah,
talking to you tonight, and you was in the army, and you're not a man that scares easy. So the fact that
nah,
you got that vibe that night,
oh,
especially, that's
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah. Oh, mate, it was real, you know, like it was when you get that, like it's like a wave of cold from head to toe. It just rolls through you, this, you know. And
Yeah,
I've never felt that with a person. You know, I've never felt fear like that with a person or a situation before. But and when it happens and there's no good reason for it, it freaks you out even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's
Yeah,
just like, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, it's intense, mate.
Especially when you're a man, you're not you don't scare easily, and you feel
No.
that, especially that is
Oh, mate. Yeah.
yeah. So what?
And
Yeah, I know
and
this.
that's one of the things that makes you're like, I've got to know now, like
Yeah,
anything can put fear in me like that. I need to know what the fuck it is because I need to know what I'm dealing with.
yeah, yeah, for sure. So
So
living there, that's probably put you on this path, possibly that
yeah,
you're on now.
yeah,
It's meant to
potentially.
be, man.
Because I had stuff happening before that and like I said, I was more paranormal. And that opened up a lot more, you know what I mean? As far as I started thinking about everything at that house, alternate dimensions and all that sort of stuff. And,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
started really, started making me question more.
yeah,
So,
man. But that's the thing. There's
but,
there's there's definitely a lot more going on around us than we than we're
oh,
led to believe.
mate,
That's for sure.
absolutely. Absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
I know
That's
this
why,
isn't. Sorry.
you're right.
No, you go, sir.
I was just going to say, I just spent a few days last week. I spent the week out in the field, and it was a good trip. Done some I done some wandering for Yowies. I went to the Grand Hotel at Gameri. It's one of the most haunted hotels in Queensland. Stayed
Nice.
overnight in the most haunted room,
Any
stuff
activity
like
in
that.
there?
So, not a lot. I had a little. The funniest thing was within 10 minutes of getting the room, I needed a shower because I'd been out in the field for a couple of nights. And I thought, oh, I need a shower. So, typical pub, you leave your room and go to the showers. And had a shower. And as I walked back in, I opened the door to my room and a woman whispers in my ear, Matt.
Oh wow.
This disembodied voice, mate, right? Within 15 minutes of being in the building. And then after that, I had good responses and that on Spirit Talker and that night and things like that, but not, what you might think, I thought, oh, I might catch
Yeah.
an apparition. I might, but no, but it's definitely haunted, like it's definitely haunted, but yeah, like I had
Interesting,
really
man.
good, like when I turned the Spirit Talker on, I was just going to do a test run in the afternoon after I had that happen. And I whacked it on. I said, look, is there anyone here that wants to communicate? This room is known for this smoking woman at the end of the bed. She turns up all the time. So it's her room. As soon as I turned it on, the first response after I asked if anyone wanted to talk, it said one lady here, and then she wanted to talk and this and that. And as we went along, I said, is it just you or is there more? There's more here, blah, blah, blah. Like it was all intelligent, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a good night, but I'm I'm pretty desensitized. Like I need big action.
Yeah. Yeah. You need more action, man.
It's
Like,
like yeah, I've been doing so much for so often lately, and especially in the past few years, that it's become, you know,
yeah,
I really need that,
that
the
extra level
bangs
now.
and the bumps and
Yeah.
the
Oh, it's
but
interesting. It's awesome, man.
yeah, but I've got I think what's the calendar say? A couple of weeks I've got a good investigation at a military museum. So that
Awesome.
should be a good one. It's there's a couple of fellas there that have passed that are mates of my old acquaintances. I wouldn't say mates, but blokes I knew,
Yeah.
and all their stuff's in there. So I'm going to try and wake them up and see if they want to come and have a chat with me and sort of stir it up a bit. I might do a bit of, I do some drill calling and stuff
Yeah.
like that to try and trigger some activity and stuff like that. So I'll be doing all that sort of stuff. And yeah, they've had good activity there in the past. They believe it's haunted by the owner who died of cancer. Um, and obviously other military personnel. But yeah, it's interesting. I just love even the side of it, it, going off onto that about attachments, like attachment to objects and
Yeah.
how people just don't realize, it's I often laugh about people going antique shopping, and they're the most anti-ghost people you ever meet. Oh, I think, well, the last thing you want to be doing is grabbing trinkets from, yesteryear and dragging them home and wondering why the bloody doors are opening and closing by themselves.
So what? When I first moved into this house that I'm in now,
Yeah,
after a couple of days of being here,
yeah,
we got a delivery, and it was around Christmas time, so we was getting a lot of deliveries coming in. So we just
yeah,
took this, whatever it was, and it was to the wrong address, but we couldn't find where it was meant to go. And we opened
yeah,
it up anyway because we was curious, and there
yeah.
was no way for us to send it back to anyone because there was nothing there to send it to, and it was just an old wooden box. And my
Oh,
missus was like, "Oh, that's nice. Oh, we can keep that or whatever." And I was like, "No, no, we're not keeping that. I don't know what it is. It was an old freaky wooden box. Like,
yeah, the big
I'm not.
box.
Yeah, I'm not." So we got rid of it, but
Yeah.
didn't
I'm
want
with you, mate.
any spooky boxes in the new house, even though
See, I'm the
spooky
opposite,
things
mate. If that
happen.
had turned up, I would have said, "Yeah, look, I'll take care of
Yeah,
that."
yeah,
It's going straight to the shed.
yeah. You're braver than me, so that's for sure.
Uh,
Can I just ask you? I
uh,
know this is a difficult question. I'm going back to the
yeah,
Yowie. What do
yeah.
you think? What do you think they are? And the other type of Yowie that you said, the smaller ones. What do you think they are?
I don't know, mate. I think that they're some sort of. I'm. It's still out of whether they're an ancient being, like an ancient human, whether they're, But honestly, I'm starting to lean towards the interdimensional, um, because it's just too easy for them to vanish.
Yeah,
It's I don't know, like I've tracked things and it goes nowhere, you know. And then they talk about the Australian Yowie, how there's rumours that their feet are backwards. So when they walk forwards, you'll never find them. You're always following the tracks the other way. But
interesting.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And that's what keeps me searching, mate. You know what I mean? Like, is the hope that I can actually see it one day in 4K.
Yeah,
Like
for
catch it
sure, man.
myself and go, there you go. Okay, his feet aren't backwards, or this or that, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, for
actually see
sure, man.
one just materialize or dematerialize in front of you.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
plenty of people have seen that too,
yeah.
I watch a lot of Steve from I don't know what his podcast's called. He's a Bigfoot guy in the States. I don't know if he's a hunter.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah,
how to hunt, how to hunt. The facts how to hunt. If you haven't
okay,
seen that,
yeah,
his name's Steve, and he's mate. This guy's one of the most well-renowned hunters and guides in America. Like everyone in the hunting game knows him. So and he came out because he's had several encounters, and he said, "I got nothing to hide. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of people." So he's made this platform. It's I'd say one of the biggest platforms now for people to come out but he's getting scientists, he's getting everyone starting to share. Native Americans, Indigenous Australians, everyone's sharing their information, and they're
yeah,
starting to sort of find stuff, like they're making headway. So it's a good thing. But then you've got the guys like Todd Standing,
yeah,
who got all those photos that were meant to be the real deal. And mate, I was impressed, but yeah, I don't know, like there's no context to the photo. I need more than just a headshot you know what I mean? Like if you
yeah,
could shoot the headshot, then zoom out and you see the full body standing there and things. I don't know. You know what I mean?
yeah, for
We're all
sure,
critics.
man.
We're all
Yeah,
skeptics. We're all you know, I want to believe, but I've got to, you can't,
Yeah.
go off half cocked. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, man.
So,
That's what we're all learning, and
yeah,
that's it, man. That's what it's all about.
you know, but yeah, and then you've got guys like Sasquatch Ontario. I don't know if you, and he's recorded voices for years,
Yeah.
and everyone's, oh yeah, well, where's the video? Well, it is what it is, you might have an agreement with that Sasquatch that he doesn't want to be on camera. I don't know,
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
wants to
Yeah.
just talk. I don't know, but there's a
I
lot of
hope
weird,
we
weird shit that goes on out there that's
a hundred
unexplainable,
100%, man. And I love it.
you know?
And
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
what you're doing, man. I
Oh, thanks, mate.
hope you catch the
Yeah, I
Yowie.
just, oh, mate,
Keep
that's my goal. If I can catch a Yowie, an alien, and a full-bodied apparition on camera for people,
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah, that's it.
you
That's
know,
it. We want all
I
three.
won't I won't go searching anymore. I'll just sit on my veranda.
Job done. Job done.
Yeah, yeah. Eating an
Matt.
apple with a knife, like the old guy in his rocking chair. Nothing
Well,
else to prove.
I hope you get it, man, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you will. Keep doing the great work that you're doing, brother. Can you
Thanks,
tell
mate.
the listeners where they can find you?
Mate, you can find me on TikTok. It's just Fractured Soul Paranormal, one word. Instagram, Facebook, yeah, all the usual places. YouTube, I've got a YouTube, but I haven't done much with it. So I'm going to try and start building that. I've got about 20 followers on there, but it's just
Awesome.
I haven't done much with it. I just throw stuff on there occasionally and forget about it. But I'll start doing more with YouTube, I think, and I want to start doing some more sort of features, because I went away for 5 days. It's a long time. There's a lot of footage. You could sort of piece together a good couple of hours,
Yeah,
or
man.
a two part episode. So it's yeah. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and get my head around the filming, mate. That's the biggest part for me at the
That's it.
moment.
The
Is
technology for
yeah,
sure.
the technology is the thing for me, mate. It's
Well,
if
keep.
I can keep, and the other thing is a lot of people they ask me about spirit boxes. They say, "Oh, you don't use spirit box much," but the way I sort of explain to them, see, having PTSD, I don't respond well to noises, um, and that noise really irks me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
to the point where I want to start punching people. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
gets in my head. So that's if anyone's wondering, that's why.
Yeah.
I often tell people, but it's one of those things. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually build a portal so that I can eliminate the spirit box noise and just run a portal so I'm not getting that because
Yeah.
it's just too much for me.
Yeah,
So
man.
that was one thing I wanted to address
Awesome.
because people sort of ask that question. They go, "Oh, you think the app works better than the spirit box or this?" Or it's not that. It's a personal thing. So
Yeah. You're doing it your way, man, and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
awesome. And keep doing
Oh,
what you're doing, because
yeah. Thanks, mate.
it's awesome stuff, man. I will share all
Yeah,
your links in the show description so people can find you easily. And just
yeah.
thank you so much for coming on and sharing your experiences. And you're welcome back on any time, man.
Thanks, mate. It's a pleasure. I'll definitely come back on and hopefully I can bring some new information for you.
Yeah, let me know. I want to, as soon as
For
something
sure.
happens, let me know, brother.
Oh, for
Thank,
sure.
thank you very much, man.
Thanks, man. Cheers.